Really wanna zig a zig.
Welcome! We're continuing with Spice Month all throughout April here on Minidisc Monday. Thank you for joining me once again, and the penultimate edition of this mini-series sees me review and look at another solo effort from one of the Spice Girls. Today it's the turn of Mel C, or Melanie C, and her debut album Northern Star.
Longing in your heart, and we will never be apart. And if they dare to question you, just tell them that our love is true. They buy your dreams so they can sell your soul. Is it any wonder we've lost control? Feelings come, feelings go. I have learned my lesson where the truth is out there. I can tell. Don't look back and don't succumb to their lies and goodbyes.
So Northern Star came out in, I think, October 1999. Jerry Halliwell had been the first of the members of the Spice Girls to release a solo album, although, as I said last week during that review, she had of course left the Spice Girls the previous year. The Spice Girls were on something of a hiatus at this point in 1999. This is apparently the biggest selling solo Spice Girls album. It sold 2.5 million copies worldwide. Is it deservedly so? Well, we'll talk about the tracks and what I think about this album in a little bit, but first we'll do the usual of looking at the contents that I hold here in my hand. So this case has certainly seen better days. Really big nasty crack on the front there that is almost splitting the case really. Other scratches and scuffs, but amazingly the actual whole case itself is holding together. Comes with a booklet that isn't massively exciting, but there's a few nice promotional shots of Melanie C, Sporty Spice in here, and lyrics to all the tracks, bit of legal stuff at the very end, and the disc itself, album artwork, albeit just the promotional picture or image without the artist and album titles. Flip it over, track listing, record label logo, and your boring legal bump. I said last week that Schizophonic, Jerry Halliwell's album, was a disappointment if you kind of expected too much from it, which I didn't, so I just thought it was a poor album. This one, I'm happy to say, is so much better. In fact, it seems almost unfair to kind of compare it with another piece of work by that particular Spice Girl member. But we'll go through the tracks and I'll pick out some highlights and maybe one or two lowlights, we'll see. Track number 1 is Go. Great opener, real sort of indie rock vibe to it. This album, it had some heavy hitters working on the production and a bit of the songwriting as well, such as William Orbit and Rick Rubin for 2. Track 2 is the title track, Northern Star. Great single, got in the top 10, top 5 I believe, and ideal choice as one of 5 singles taken from this record. Track 3 is what I think is Mel C's debut solo single, Going Down. I'd forgotten how great of a song that was actually. That's a real highlight on the album for me going down. Just sounds fantastic. It is certainly Melanie C trying to move away from that kind of dance pop R&B light that the Spicers were peddling out for Spice and Spice World. And she sounds credible, great track. Number 4 is I Turn to You. That was her second number 1, I believe, in the singles chart. The version on here doesn't bear much resemblance to the single version that you would have heard on radio and TV back in the day, as that was remixed, and I would say the remix version is superior to the album version, but the album version is still very good. Nice dance track, really. Number 5, If That Were Me. That was the 5th and final single taken from Northern Star, and the only one that didn't get in the top 10. It's the weakest of the 5 singles, but it's decent enough. It's above average, I would say. Maybe it'd be something that'd be even more of a grower were I to listen to it again more. Number 6, Never Be the Same Again, which of course features Lisa Left Eye Lopez from TLC. That was Mel C's first solo number 1. Always quite like that without absolutely loving it. And it shows that for a UK artist, a British singer, with the right production team and songwriters, etc., they can do sort of American style R&B without it sounding contrived, which, to be fair, some of the Spice Girls' more Americanised efforts just never really hit for me, but Never Be the Same Again is quality, really. Track 7 is Why. Track 8, Suddenly Monday. Why was good, like a trip-hop type thing. Suddenly Monday, this is maybe so far the weakest track on the album and possibly the weakest one overall for me. Nothing inherently wrong with it. It's got a kind of almost Britpop style piano and guitar layer to it, but it just doesn't quite work for me. Number 9, Gaga, another indie kind of effort I think there. Track 10 is Be The One, that was pretty good. Track 11, Closer, and the album ends with Feel the Sun, which is another slower paced, dancey sort of almost trip-hop ambient in places song. You know what, I feel like I've kind of rushed through this review a bit, but I just wanted to do it fairly quickly so I can remember as much as I wanted to say about all the tracks on here. This is a very good album. Apparently Mel C was influenced a lot by Madonna's Ray of Light that would have come out a year or maybe a bit more than a year before this, and you can certainly tell, and obviously William Orbit had much to do with that album as he had a bit to do with this one as well. And Ray of Light is one of my favourite Madonna albums. Melanie C certainly wearing her influences on her sleeve here of Madonna, the indie and Britpop music that she would have been listening to at the time. This showed that for a member of the Spice Girls who maybe weren't considered by critics and even some fans really of producing credible music, this is 100 times better than Schizophrenic. Geri Halliwell was the first out the gate with a solo effort, but hers was just dismal compared to Northern Star. I obviously can't compare either of those albums against other solo Spice Girls ones, as those are the only two I've heard, Schizophrenic and Northern Star. But Northern Star stands alone, Spice Girls or otherwise, as a very good dance pop, indie pop album really. It's got some good production. Melanie C, arguably the strongest vocalist from the Spice Girls anyway, so she was really gonna knock it out the park in relation to the singing. And yes, I know that this has been reissued over the years and it's available on multiple formats, so it is quite a big recommendation from me, this. Don't let your prejudices about Spice Girls or teen pop or anything else put you off checking this out. It's a very, very good album. So that was Northern Star by Melanie Chisholm. What have we got left for the final edition of Spice Month next Monday? Well, I think maybe most of you will be able to guess which album I'll be looking at, but we'll leave it at that. And of course, you'll see whether you were right or wrong, and you'll no doubt be right in 7 days' time. Thank you all for watching this. I want to say special thanks to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. I'm going to go now, and please join me in 1 week's time for the final episode of Spice Month here on Minidisc Monday. Cheers everyone. See ya!